Oh, that's pretty.
That is my back wall.
That is pretty.
Took me a while to do it.
How long did it take you to do that?
Oh God, probably. I don't want to count it in days because artists usually measure by the hour.
Yeah.
Over the course of days, probably about 12 hours.
Wait, is that like airbrushed on there?
It's stenciled actually. It's stenciled. Let me see it again.
And you stenciled that.
Me and my little sister, she helped hold things while I did the work.
My soul would have fell out my chest.
It was kind of a two-person job. But
But
borders at the top, those are the kind where you peel and stick, like you put them in water and they get all sticky.
yeah,
You put on the filter sign, put on the makeup. Oh no. What do I?
I feel like you good without it, but hey, whatever floats your boat.
It's almost Halloween.
No, I never. I've always seen like stuff like that on YouTube,
Uh-huh.
but I've never seen like the actual like to see like how you have it like live.
Yeah. I was gonna say
But can
it's
you?
time.
My arm would have. So if one person's holding, that means the other one is shading. So I'm assuming the other one was shading as fast as they can.
Well, it's like decal paint, so it doesn't take that long to put on there. But somebody has to help you hold the stencils in place. Otherwise, it is going to take forever. Unless you tape them up there. I mean, I guess I could have taped them up there.
Well, you gotta have some strong tape. I'm assuming the stencils are heavy, aren't they?
I'm thinking, no, they're not that heavy. They're like I think they were plastics. I did this years ago. But I'm thinking, what is it called? The tape, painter's tape or frog tape?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, I think we use frog tape. So, hey,
I
Nita.
never done that.
Hmm.
I had thought about it. I've never done it because I've also seen people where where when they're painting the walls, they'll like run tape across their walls and then paint certain portions on the wall, and then but it's different colors, and then when they take the tape off, it's just like this whole design.
I was gonna say I like that too, and I actually know somebody who did that for her baby's nursery. She said it took hours because you have to put the tape up there first, and then you got to paint like super. You got to be like super careful so you don't accidentally overlap or mess it up, and even that takes time. But oh God, the little stencil brush. What is that roller thing? Oh my God, I'm so bad at the technical terms. But they have a stencil
Uh,
roller where you can put designs on the wall like that too with the stencil roller. But that takes such a
yeah.
steady hand. That's such a steady hand to do over and over again and not mess up.
I guess you got to be an artist for that. I'm assuming because artists have you have to have a steady hand if you're an artist. I'm not an artist, so I can't.
I mean, even
I can barely.
steady hands because it's just that we have to know how to fix a mistake without anybody knowing we made it. So
Yeah, that is true. That is true. I've thought about doing that, but it's just like you said, it takes time, and you got to have somebody to help you with that. I'm like, yeah, I couldn't do it. Like, I think I'll do the one with the tape if I'm doing like running tape across the walls, and I'll probably do that. But even still, I think you got to be careful with that, so the paint doesn't run.
it will. If you put it on too heavily, you just got to put it on in light layers. Like people will dip a brush and then go straight to paint. You can't do that. You have to tap it. You have to make sure you take off the excess or it's going to go straight on the wall and go straight down. It absolutely will.
Yeah, see, I think that's why I I paint people homes, and when they say, okay, we want this one, the wall one color. Oh, that's easy. Just roll it. It's
Well,
easy.
I was gonna say you'll learn it if you do it enough. Though, like they said, you make a mistake, you generally won't make it twice. Experience is the best teacher when it comes to art and anything. Because when I started off, I used to make mistakes and stuff a lot, and I just be like, "Oh my God, I just completely screwed that up."
Is your wall flat or is it textured?
That's a good question. You know what? It's like it's not glossy. I think it's matte white paint that was on these walls because this is actually an apartment, which technically I wasn't supposed to be painting. But I drove up the property value, so they're not gonna say anything because this place was crap when I came over here.
Yeah, yeah, well, yeah, yeah. You know how every apartment is. That's what I did with my dining room. I took down that globe,
The globe ceiling
the globe. Yeah, well, no, not even. It wasn't ceiling fan. It was the
fan.
ceiling fan they had there. I know the ceiling fan that they have in here now. The motor went, and I wasn't replacing that because I was like, I'm just not about to deal with that. But they had the globe regular yellow light and there was stuff in there in the dining room. Renovated the whole place, but put these old little lights up. So I ended up replacing it with like a chandelier that belongs in a house. And now, so just one chandelier brights up the living room and the kitchen. I'm just like,
That sounds
gee,
You know, they're going to do the bare minimum in a lot of different places because they want to make money off the you know, they want to profit off of you when you move up in there. But it's like a lot of the fixtures and stuff, when you fix stuff yourself and you don't call maintenance, that's how I learned they would use the stuff possible. Because when I have to go shopping for like a new kitchen faucet or something, my kitchen faucet cost me, it was $100 and something because I wanted a Moan. And you know, Moan is one of the top, MOEN is one of the top fixtures. I wasn't gonna get like a $300 or $500 one. I'm like, that's ridiculous. But I wanted one that I could pull down and, you know, like wash my dishes and move around and manipulate. The ones
I actually like those. I like those.
Those are never gonna come in an apartment, not ever. But when you replace stuff, I'm like, certain things I'm just not taking out of here when I leave. But there are certain things that are gonna go with me when I leave. And if you mess with me, I will take the ceiling fans that I put in down.
I've done that. I've done that where my last place, they had made me mad so bad because like the type of dryer and stuff that I have like a I have a 4-prong dryer, electric dryer, and when every place I moved into, they got the 3-prong outlet. So obviously I have to change the outlet all the time, which is not a problem, whatever the case may be. Well, the last place I changed the ceiling fans because they were really old and wilted. They had the 3-prong dryer, and it had a couple of other things they had going on there. And well, they pissed me off so bad. I took the ceiling fans. I didn't put theirs back. I left it there, and I took the dryer outlet. I made sure I plugged all the cables and everything else so nothing, you know, starts a fire. But I had to definitely. I left them sadly.
Hang on.
Right. Hey, the poet, what's up, man? You are Storm for Halloween. You know, it sucks though because I really want to be Two-Face, but I don't know if it's gonna be possible because I can't find.
The makeup is gonna be the biggest thing for that. Have you
That's the part I'm having trouble finding.
Have you looked on Amazon to see if you can get any options there? Because
I've seen the makeup on Amazon and stuff like that, but the problem with this is that I need to find somebody that's actually good with, like, basically the makeup. It's
what is it? It's a store in the mall. Is there a Sephora's or anywhere near you? Because if there's a Sephora or a JCPenney or anywhere, you can literally call ahead and ask them, do they help do makeup there? Because some places like that will actually do your makeup for you.
Right. There is a JCPenney. And they do have a makeup section there, but I never actually thought of that.
Most people don't because they go in and buy makeup and go home and do it themselves. But if you ask, if somebody there can, they'll generally help you do your makeup.
They got to be real nasty with it, though, because you're talking about making one side of my face.
Oh, yeah. That's why I said you need to get a professional. Thank you so much, Brother GKL.
Brother GKL
is family as well. And Anita, I'm telling you, this makeup job he's talking about, this can't be a hack job or it's just not gonna look right. Like even with me doing Storm, I'm like, I bought 3 different wigs because one that's gonna work. One of them was like had gray undertones and I thought it was gonna be black. I'm like, oh no, that's an old woman. Pass and send that one back. I got one that looked like Inuyasha. I'm like, no, this was too white. Pass, send that back. I settled on the night and I found it. I'm like, okay, finally a win. Oof.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time. So I'm thinking of a backup plan, but I'm trying to think of something that nobody, like you said, is doing. Like I don't see nobody doing Storm. Anita's low key with her costume because she doing.
Yes, the character. I was too through. I was like, one more person say Catwoman. No, that's all. Even when I gave him the clue of Halle Berry and had thunder and lightning, everybody kept saying, "Is it Catwoman?" I said, one more person say that.
Didn't Halle Berry play as Catwoman though?
Huh?
Didn't Halle Berry play? Did she play as Catwoman?
She did, but everybody kept guessing that based on only Halle Berry. They didn't look at none of the other clues. Everybody just threw poor Aurora under the bus. I was like, don't nobody think about Storm because y'all. That's the last thing y'all. People said Rogue. Somebody even said Jubilee. I was like, I cannot believe y'all forgot this orphan black woman who was called a witch. All the clues I gave, and not near person said Storm. And then at the end, it was like, oh, I know what it is. It's Storm. I'm like, duh.
You know what it is though? It's because Storm is like as long as I've known her, that character, I feel like she was the one that she made her presence known. And when she made it known, you knew she was there, and then she would just dip off, and you wouldn't know any more of her.
is a quiet character. I felt like Angela Bassett would have been a much better Storm than Halle Berry, and that's nothing against Halle. I just felt like because she was a poor orphan from Africa, lived in the slums of Africa, and grew up like that, Halle Berry just didn't look that part. Halle Berry looked the part of Catwoman because she's Eartha Kitt was sexy. Eartha Kitt was all of that. She embodied that. But Storm was not meant to be played by a soft black woman. She was meant to be played by a beautiful, hardened black woman. And Angela Bassett did that role perfectly. Because she even had the look. She was older. You know, well, Trevor, I don't know. You need to talk to, what is it, Warner Brothers? No, excuse me, Marvel Studios. He could be Gambit.
He said, I can be Gambit. Oh, my God.
Get up here on this camera. You coming into the Halloween celebration as Gambit? You don't put it out there now. Don't get quiet. That's a yes or no. It's 3 letters.
That would be dope if he came in as Gambit. And I can't wait. And we're about a week away from it. So,
You should.
bro, I know for a fact I've been definitely like browsing different costumes and stuff like that. And speaking of that, I ordered Brother GKL's book, and I'm waiting for it. But I guess there's a delay with Amazon because
It is. About 3 weeks to get mine.
yeah, because at first it was like, oh, it should have been here like 2 days ago. That's what it was saying. It should have been here like 2 days ago. And I was like, okay, well, it's no problem. I was excited. And then next time I log in, I check the mail, and I'm checking the mail like as if I'm waiting for like a check to come in the mail because I want the book so bad. And I get disappointed, so I sign into Amazon because I don't see no mail.
Well, so
And then,
you got to track it so you know when it's coming in.
like I'm tracking it because I want the book really bad, and then it goes on and tells me, so we're sorry for the delay and this and third. If you want a refund, I'm like, I don't want the refund. I want the book. I don't want the
shipping.
Yeah, they haven't shipped. Well, so it's saying this. When I last tracked it, it said it was coming from California. Then, like I said, it was saying it was going to be here for like a day, or it would take like 2 days to get to me. So that's fine. But now it's almost like a week now. So I'm waiting.
So has it actually shown as shipped? Like, has that ship bubble filled in, or it ain't even filled in for the shipping bubble?
It showed up shipped, and it showed that it's in transit, but that's all it shows.
Okay, that sounds like a courier delay then. And coming from California, we headed into the holidays. This time to season for everything to start getting delayed.
Yeah, I mean, I keep forgetting.
Don't wait till the last minute to Christmas shop. That's for everyone.
No.
You won't have your gift.
I think my mistake is like I be forgetting because there's an Amazon warehouse near me, so I be assuming that his books or anything is in this warehouse, and I be forgetting that like it has to get there first. So
yeah, because sellers, it's different with sellers. It's different with sellers.
Yeah,
not directly from the warehouse all the time.
Yeah, but they said they said the book is coming and stuff, so I'm waiting for that. And in the process, I've been looking for Halloween costumes and stuff like that. So I'm still trying to figure out what I want to be. Yeah, but I'm lining on Two-Face. I really want to be Two-Face.
But Brother GKL said Cleopatra would be dope. Yeah, I was gonna say I got a lot of good ideas for next year because I wanted something simple this year, honestly. Whatever's going on in my life, I'm like, what can I do that's not going to require a crap ton of makeup, visual aids, and special effects for me to make it look good? Like, I know what I'm going to do. But
and Storm doesn't require.
You got some work ahead of you.
See, I don't know. So, in average, normally, the most I do with Halloween is I take the kids out, they do their thing, whatever. That's the most I do for Halloween. And I like to decorate. That's it. But I don't normally dress up. The last time I dressed up for Halloween, I had a photo shoot. That was in, I think, 2019 or 2018. And I dressed up as a mobster gang member. So I actually had the pinstripe, the suspenders. I had all that stuff. And I had the photo shoot. But that was the last time I dressed up for Halloween. And that was simple. So now it's like, okay, nobody is Two-Face. And I want to be Two-Face. Everybody's going to find a way to be the Joker. And definitely everybody's running to be the Squid Game. So I'm like, I don't want to be none of that. So.
You have a bunch of people running up and down the street dressed in a Squid Game costume. I saw this one meme. Cops that got in on it. And it was like on this campus. And the cops hollered, "Red light." Everybody froze. So sad. We are adults and children.
The Squid Game became very, very popular. I just actually watched a video earlier where they're now taking it on like college campuses, and they're basically putting $1,000 on the table, and they're like, if you can hold somebody in there, whatever, and they got like a Nerf gun and all that stuff, and if the person basically they have to keep, I guess, within the shape or the circle or whatever, and if they get pushed out of lines, they're eliminated. And I'm looking at this like they're really taking this thing like worldwide with it.
I think it's a throwback to childhood a lot for a lot of people because those are games we played as children, and you got eliminated. But to add the aspect of death into it, I think makes it more exciting for the adults. You know, it went from a child to a darker thing. It's almost like nursery rhymes. Everybody knows that nursery rhymes have a dark undertone and where they actually came from. Like the Muffin Man. Don't Google that. You don't want to know. Ain't nothing good about the Muffin Man. Not nothing. He's a serial killer who like to murder children.
That don't sound So when I seen that, because it's even on Coco Melon, which I see it a lot, and they sing the Muffin Man, and then they say it's another nursery they say where I can't think of it. Life is not a dream, or I can't think of the name of it. It's another nursery, but they're basically talking about like how life is not sweet as you think it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
but that's the thing. Most of them have a dark undertone. Snow White, like they said, the original Snow White got raped by the prince. There was nothing nice.
I heard that.
I forget what they said about the Little Mermaid and all of them, but like I said, all of them came from Grimm fairy tales. That's why they came up with the whole idea for Grimm, because they were all Grimm fairy tales. Like, what's nice about Rockabye Baby? You're basically talking about a child up in a tree until it falls and hits the ground. What happens after it hits the ground? We all know it dies. That's a nursery rhyme. That's why I said
I never thought about that.
Dark undertone, and we just don't really consider it because we're singing it. Ring Around the Rosie, dark undertone. Ashes, ashes, we all fall down. And all that stuff, if you Google it, darkness.
Isn't that okay? So what? As far as that's my when you say ashes, ashes. It doesn't that come now? Correct me if I'm wrong, because I could be wrong. But from what I see, doesn't that come from like something back in the slavery days?
God, I cannot remember what they said about that one. I just know it's got something to do with burning and it's got something to do with people. So it has something to do with killing people. I just can't remember exactly what it was. I don't know if it was something with slavery or something with wartime, like back when they like Civil War, or I don't even want to call it Civil War. That may not be the correct term, but back when America was fighting and things like that. Plus, it all nursery rhymes. Google whole list up, like look up the history of the dark history of nursery. Google that, you're gonna get a whole list of them most likely.
Let me see.
I'm learning that stuff because my dad always, we went to private school and we taught better. And my dad always told us, he was like, you grew up on a steady diet of lies. Is it any wonder people can lie so easily in this world? He said, they teach you Jack and Jill. Jack and Jill didn't even exist. What hill did they go up? Humpty Dumpty. He said Humpty Dumpty is representatory of the government. It's always taking a fall and everybody trying to cover Humpty's behind and put him back together again. But you ain't gonna put that.
I've seen that.
I mean, so. Or what is the one? Stuck a feather in his cap and called it macaroni. Took us from Africa, brought us to America, and gave us a whole nother name. Always got to be taking something from somewhere and renaming it and claiming it. None of it has a good connotation. None of it. Which makes sense to me because most things that people come up with, even the rhymes and the songs and music, is based off of real life. We just change it into something pleasant, like how country singers write about life, and that's why their music sounds so beautiful. A lot of those they're about people's broken hearts and relationships. Everything from some historical thing that happened in somebody's life at some point. So.
I knew that's what that was. The Ring Around the Rosie. Yup, I kind of figured that. Yep. It pertains to Black Death.
And don't surprise me. Not one bit.
Yeah. Also, Ring Around the Rosie. Urban legends say that the nursery rhyme is all about the Black Death, with the line "Ashes, ashes," about burning bodies. We all fall down.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, enough of it happened to us. People don't like to talk about it. People like to say, "Oh, slavery was just indentured servitude." No, it was so much more than that. On the level of lynching and tying people between horses and tarring and feathering them and setting their bodies on fire and then having horses rip them apart. I learned all that in history because I went to private school. Now, in public
See,
school,
and that's the thing they didn't teach in public school. So that's like, I've never been to a private school. I've been to public. So I don't,
they don't want to teach it.
everything I,
And even white children are speaking out about it. They're like, if your history wasn't so bloody, you wouldn't be ashamed to teach it to your grandchildren. Stop doing dirt. Just admit
yeah.
it's wrong. Admit that it needs to change. And like they said, if you forget the lessons of history, you're doomed to repeat its failures. So ain't no sense in acting like it didn't happen, because it went on for over 4 straight years. Oh, it happened. And even before that, let's go back to before slavery. We talk about that as Black people, but even before slavery, that wasn't the beginning of this foolishness. White people was chopping each other's hands off in their kingdoms and stuff. Look at what happened in the Berlin girls.
Yo.
It got mad at you, cut his best friend's head off, and it was crying about it afterwards. Like, this is a whole fool. This man must have been bipolar or something. You know, he just.
That is true. They was chopping themselves up.
You at a quick second, you was dead. You made a wrong move. In across the world, it wasn't just in this country, because that was in England. You know, I'm not even going to talk about Queen Elizabeth and the record she got, or Bloody Mary, which was, I think, Anne Boleyn and King Henry's daughter, Mary. She had a right.
Yeah.
They treated that girl badly. If the movies and the documentaries I watched about her are any form of accuracy, her daddy treated her bad. He really did. You know, that was his first trip. He wanted a son, and he had a daughter, and people crazy. So I said, human beings got a lot of work to do on themselves. So much violence. It's written right into your program to sing children to sleep at night with.
That's you know, it's like I've peeped on a couple of nurseries, and I was just looking. Obviously, when you're a kid, you're not thinking of it, but when you become an adult, you're like, did they just say what I feel like they said? And even took me a while. Like I said, private schools. I've never been to a public schools. They didn't teach that, but I'm just now learning about the ice cream truck song.
Oh, you mean the nigga love a watermelon song?
Yeah, I'm just now learning about that, because I never obviously knew that. So somebody was like, "Oh yeah, you do know the ice cream truck song? It comes back from like a slavery day." I'm like, huh?
It's Turkey in the Straw, but the original song was called "Nigga Love a Watermelon." I had to stop my 14-year-old daughter from blasting it around the house, because she thinks it's hilarious, because the generation coming after us, and we barely knew about it. I barely knew the word nigga was really bad growing up. We heard white people say stuff, but because we were raised by the generation who said no more, you couldn't make me mad by calling me nigger. I said, oh, I'm sorry. If I'm a nigger, what are you considering? You came out my genetics. You the child of a nigger, which makes you one too. So mad. They'd be like, and then they would just shut up. That stuff didn't make
That
sense.
is true.
I have to tell my daughter, I'm like, baby, I know that's not what we are. That's just a word. It really ain't that serious, but that's an inflammatory word for most ignorant people in this world. And when I say ignorant, I don't mean that as no jest. I don't mean that as a mockery. I mean people are ignorant because they don't know how to defend against something. When you don't very quickly get offended by it. You can't offend an intelligent person. So if somebody offends you with a word, like calling you a name, and then they pushing a button on you, my dad always told me, don't wear a big red button on yourself that says push here and make me act a fool. He said, because I guarantee you somebody looking for that button, and they going to jam it. So you have to learn.
You know, I actually, it's crazy. It's crazy that you actually speak about that. Me and Anita was talking about it earlier, where now we already know, like, this is my birthmark. I had that at birth and things of that nature, whatever. So obviously, when I was a kid growing up, I got teased a lot about it. So it sucked when I was a kid. But at the same time, it built so much. Me being teased as a kid built enough tough skin to where now you couldn't faze me by saying that as an adult. Like you can't really offend me because I've been teased so much all throughout my life, or ask the general question of what is that, or what happened to you, so forth and so on. Well, I had actually somebody literally, and it's in one of my recent posts where they actually insulted me. Now it didn't make me mad, and like you said, they was looking for that button. So I came back with like I came back with a smart response, but like an intelligent one where I wasn't coming at them all crazy. And I was like, nope, not gonna let you do it, whatever the case may be. And now she's getting flamed up in the comments by everybody else because she was the first one to comment. Mm-hmm. So you know, obviously, when you're the first one to comment, it's the first thing people see.
I mean,
and now she's getting, and it's sad because I'm sitting here like, people are real, like, I'm now 30 and still people still, I don't find them wrong with because I find, okay, it's my imperfection.
Have
Like,
you been on TikTok lately?
no.
There are literal burn victims on TikTok with millions of followers, and they go live and they have thousands of people watching them just because they are burn victims. People are fascinated by people who have been through stuff in life. That's what I'm finding. You always gonna have somebody that's gonna have something negative to say or something hateful to say, because if you really want to know, you just ask the question. You don't have to come at somebody as an insult. You can just be like, what's going on with that? You know, how'd you get that? What is that? Ask your question. But you don't have to be offensive, and that just tells you you're dealing with a child's mentality, because children do that. They make fun of each other, like you said. That starts out in childhood, and some of them never grow out of that because their parents don't teach them that that's an ugly thing to do. You know, it's when your child is a bully, parents get in denial a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, that not my baby. That's everybody's favorite phrase. Not my baby, and you know mine is the exact opposite. I say, oh yeah, if you seen one child, you seen them all. I know what you're behind over there doing, and you better cut it out. But everybody ain't like that, so that grows up.
Mm-hmm.
But still think they can just, because they have no self control. It takes a lot of self control to not insult somebody, to not go off on somebody, to not just come out the blue and you a complete stranger. And that's why you got so many people pulling guns out and shooting folks in this world, because they just fed
Yeah.
up. They've had enough. And that's what I keep harping on with everybody. Stop wearing that big red easy button. Somebody out there is not mentally stable. Don't you go follow behind them in that, because they're going to make you kill them. Like they said, you better let God handle it, because if you handle it, you're going to be sitting up in jail.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And it's true.
nobody, and they probably ain't never going to be nobody. That's why they ain't nobody, because instead of focusing on what's important, they sitting there making mockery of people, which tells you that they ain't a whole lot. Empty wagons make a lot of noise. Ain't a whole lot going on upstairs.
It is sad because it's like you would think, okay, you're quote unquote an adult, okay, this was when I used to do this when I was a kid, but here we are, you have an adult and you just feel like you can say what you want,
Because
insult them, and it's just
never truly grew up. Being 18 don't make you grown. Being 21
yeah.
don't make you grown. Being 30 don't make you grown.
That is true.
Scripture says maturity till age 40. And my dad used to add to that. He said, and some of y'all 40, he said, and still ain't got there. It takes a while, and it can make you an interesting person to still have a childlike mentality. Michael Jackson was a good example of that. The man was barely 50 years old when he passed away, because he was just too sweet for this world. I'm sorry, I don't care what nobody say about that man. You're low down if you're running him down, because that man didn't do nothing but try to help people, but his mind was too immature to handle what this world was throwing at him.
Mm-hmm.
The world is a dog-eat-dog world. Is a concrete jungle. Terms like that don't get coined for a world that's doing well. And you wouldn't
Yeah.
have so many laws. If you want to know how bad the sin is in the world, look at how many laws you got. You got so many laws. You got Code 702. How you get up to the 700s? What the hell is y'all doing?
That is true, because every time you hear some officer dispatching, I actually obtained the code reference to one of the officers here, because I wanted to see what it is. So it was like they was calling out all these codes, and like you said, that like how you get up to 700. Well, this sheet was like 3 pages long,
Yep.
and it had like, yeah, we had a code 303 and a code 6. I'm like, so this is what this stuff mean, because I never knew what it meant, but I'm like, damn, like you said, how you get up to the 700s?
How much sin is going on in this world right now. And the sad fact is, like, remember that shooting that took place over in, oh gosh, where was it? Not Greenland or Iceland, but it was one of them places like that. But the minute they had a mass shooting, their government went to work immediately. And within a week, they had new gun laws enacted to where people couldn't carry AK-47s and all that mess no more. It just banned. Not over here. Your children get shot up at Sandy Hook, and you got some fools sitting there talking about it was a conspiracy and it didn't really happen. Now you got grieving parents sitting there and just lost their baby, and you running your fat mouth, and the government ain't doing nothing about it either, because the NRA from my cold dead hands, you say. You want to keep your weapon, that's your business. But one person's freedom stops where another person's freedom starts. And you should not be having weapons of mass destruction, which is exactly what a weapon that's a semi-automatic is.
Yeah.
You need automatics and semi-automatics to defend yourself. One shot at a time is enough, because I guarantee you, once you hit him, he going down. Giving people semi-automatic weapons, you loading up your own destruction. Because one of these days, them children that you think ain't watching you, or in somebody's house, even if it ain't your house. Oh, they watching you. Children emulate and watch everything because you must have forgot what it was like to be a child. And I mean the general. We forget. We was watching. We watched our parents. We waited on you to turn around and turn your back, and we was gonna do what we was gonna do. They go find that gun that you think you done hid in the cereal box on top of the refrigerator, or in the shoe box in your closet on the high shelf, or under your bed, or wherever you think you done hid it. And then the next thing you know, baby done shot his brother. Or Sonny done took your gun and went to school, loaded them up, and pumped everybody full of lead. Now your child sitting up in jail and used the outlaw, or you the whatever the word is for that, when don't nobody like you no more. You done set up there and
I think that's what it ticks me off, because Florida right along with Georgia and a few other states are very, very loose with their gun laws and stuff like that. And it's like when we had the protests and stuff last year, and a guy was literally running up and down the street with a semi-automatic, and he's just shooting people, shooting at the and I'm sitting here like.
And the sad fact is,
did
he hit with your gun and shot him to stop him from killing other people, you probably would have been sitting up in jail, because that's how unjust.
That is, and I had to learn that about and this is also why I have like lawyers on standby and stuff, like I have them on retainer for that stuff, because as I'm taking the class that I'm taking, it wasn't like your normal, you go shoot 5 rounds and, you get your license. I actually took a whole course where about 4 hours of it was educational, like you sitting there. The other 4 was teaching you how to actually maneuver and walk and all that stuff. Well, I asked the guy, because he was ex-Navy, and I asked him, I said, so, in the sense of house, home defense and things of that nature, I was like, I've heard the terminology of where they say, you're supposed to empty the clip if somebody breaks in your home or stuff like that. And he was like, ask yourself, if you have a handgun and you squeeze that trigger more than once, he said, and like you said, the first bullets make them go down. He said, so if you hit them the first time after you didn't hit them, what's the sense of pulling that trigger more? He said, that's just a setup. He said that's a setup, because for the simple fact is, you done already took your target down. There was no need to kill him at that point. So now at that point,
stabbing people. They said if you stab that man, he go down, don't put 30 holes in him. Your behind going to jail. If you want to claim defense, 1, maybe 2, you can get away with it. But to keep stabbing him after, they checking to see when that blood coagulated. They checking to see how long, the position he was in, where that blood flowed to. They can see all of that. And they know if you took him down and you kept on going. That's not justice. I don't care if somebody did break in your home. God said, "Thou shalt not kill." Now, in self-defense, that is the only exception to that, because that's justice. Eye for an eye is also in there. So he allows everybody. But if the man fell, if the woman fell, why did you go chasing him? A classic example is this woman went chasing this man that broke into her house. She chased him down, and instead of her letting him leave when he took off, she chased him down the street and shot him. Now she in court doing a couple of years for that, for attempted murder.
I think I heard of that story.
And at first I was on her side until I realized the man had ran and you followed him out the house, so you wasn't scared no more. You said, "I'm gonna get this nigga." You should not. Ain't no justification for that. And that's what people don't realize. They think that there's some justification for murdering another human being, even when they on the run, because, oh, well, this so-and-so shouldn't have broken my house. Do you realize the shape that the world is in? People are homeless on the street. Some people don't have money, don't have jobs. That's not excusing their behavior. But what if that was you in that position and you got so desperate to feed your family? You don't know what people's stories are. Some people are bipolar. Some people have, schizophrenia?
Yeah. That is overlooked a lot.
Yep, there's a man from Canada that's out of jail right now, and they had to change his name. William Baker, I think is his name. Will Baker. That's not his original name. I forget his original name, but he was the man who had schizophrenia and nobody knew. And he's sitting on the bus beside another man and turns around and starts stabbing the dude next to him and cuts his head off on the bus for everybody. Everybody in a trample, running off the bus. And when they put him in jail and found out he was schizophrenic, they let him out a few years later because they had to put him on medication. Now the world is half and half on, should this man be out? But he didn't know what he was doing. So
that, and what's the other one? Amnesia. Amnesia is overlooked a lot too.
Yep. If you do something and don't remember it, or I think you really mean when they like people that sleep and have violent tendencies. People from the military.
Yeah.
They have I forget what they call it, like vivid dreams or violent dreams, where they wake up and they squeezing somebody's neck to death or stabbing at somebody. And these people don't ever remember doing that. You have rare cases, but unfortunately, if you can't prove it, you better have cameras in your house. Because if you can't prove it and you know you got them kind of issues, you better have some kind of backup, because they're going to think you lying and you a murderer. And they know.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some truly innocent people sitting up there that, even though, yes, they committed a crime, it was accidental, they didn't mean to, and they don't need to be sitting in a jail cell. They need to be getting mental help. But this society calls it a correctional institution, but most people ain't in there getting corrected. Look what's going on at Rikers. They're not in there getting corrected. They get in there.
I know when I first got locked up, it wasn't no correction in there. I mean, I'm watching dude over there. He just watching TV. I'm sitting here like, well, what the hell?
That's just to put you in there and let society forget about you. And that's why you have to be careful, especially when you are somebody of any race other than white in this country, especially. And it happens over in Canada. There's a lot of, like, I think Alberta is one of the most racist provinces in Canada. And I know that from speaking to ethnic people from Canada. It's like, if you do not move to Alberta, because I'm telling you, it's just as bad over there as it is right there in America, what y'all dealing with. We dealing with it over here. People flying their Confederate Canadian flags. I didn't even know there was a Confederate Canadian flag, but apparently there is. So, yes.
I never knew that. That's something new.
You know, and I ran into somebody like that online that was from Canada. I used to think Canada was a little bit better off than us. And I'm like, okay, some areas are, but don't assume nothing about nowhere on this earth, because you don't know there until you have lived there. But I ran into somebody I had to deal with acting a fool with me over Paul Walker. The man dead and in the ground, and you telling me he's a pedophile. And mad at me because I won't just run with your foolishness. I said, I'm not running with that. I ain't read nowhere that man was no pedophile. I don't care if he was.
I ain't never read. If anything, that man is I ain't gonna lie. If anything, Paul Walker was somebody who.
I'm not about to run with your stuff, because that's white people's problem. And if they didn't call him no pedophile, y'all was marrying 13 and 14-year-olds when you came to this country. First of all, this country was established on rape, pillaging, and robbery. So you better just shut up. Secondly, I don't agree with it. In some parts of this country right here, 16 is the legal age of consent. So if you don't agree with it, don't start running somebody down that I don't know nothing about. You get your behind up there and lobby to your government. You the same lily white person who can get up there and ask your government to make a change if you don't like it, but you come to the black girl that you think you can manipulate on the internet and just get to running somebody down and then go run my name down. You out your mind. And before I got through with him, he blocked me. And I said, goodbye, devil. But I'm just telling you, don't come for me. I am the wrong one. You know, and I tell people, don't let somebody pull you into their foolishness and get you to agree to something just because they told you something negative about somebody. I don't care if they tell you somebody killed somebody. You better make sure that's accurate before you get sued for slandering somebody, especially on the
and you do. You do get sued. You do get sued for that. A lot of people don't look at that, but you do get sued for that.
That's exactly my point. That is why I am the way I am. You cannot just push me over or bowl me over and get me all upset because you acting a fool. I ain't the one. I just sit there and look at you. You done? Did you take a breath? But why ain't you saying that? What is me saying something gonna change? Now, I'll tell you how to exact some real change if you got a problem. You go lobby your government officials, go talk to your mayors and them people in Congress that I know y'all got some pull with. And that's how you make some change. But ain't no sense in coming to me, because I'm not about to ruffle my feathers over something, especially if somebody dead and gone. They're not even here to defend themselves. Nobody can defend them, and you just running them down to somebody else. No.
I think and like you said, look, it's sad, but people get an amusement out of that. Like, I never had an amusement. If somebody died, regardless what type of activity they were in, like you said, nobody shouldn't be losing their life. So it's like, it'd be one of those situations where you're sitting there like, people are running this person into the ground because this, that, and the third. And I'm just like, you talk about them when they're dead, but you never mention them when they're alive. And it happens even with your own family, where your own family will talk about you when you're dead, and you're like, but when you was alive, you never even called to check up on them.
Man, in my will, I simply put, keep my name out your mouth and let me rest in peace. That's actually in there, because I know how folks is. And I know I'm that person that when you come to my funeral, the person reading the eulogy gonna say, so-and-so, get up and get out of here. She said, if you leave.
You gonna come back.
Like, not even.
Oh my gosh.
You at my funeral. Get your ass up and get out.
Coming right up out of the grave. And that would be scary. And you know what's crazy? A lot of people, they knock that. But some apparent reasons for me, I feel like that can actually happen one day. Where somebody will literally pop up in their grave at their funeral.
It can happen. This been happened so many times. People was pronounced dead, the morgue sent them on, and they raising up in the coffin and all that foolishness, almost giving the mortician a heart attack. You need to Google it. There have been so many cases of that around the world. I'm like, y'all terrible. Can you imagine what that's like for them old folks? It's usually old people because they think they dead because they old.
Wait, people popping up in there. Let me see this.
You need to Google that foolishness. Waking up, mortician thinks they dead or whatever. You just Google it, move it around. Try mortician thinks dead comes back to life, or I don't even know what to call that. But I done seen a few articles about that. People waking up and I'm like, yeah, I'm glad y'all didn't dissect them or do an autopsy on them. You know, it's terrible. That's terrible.
A Michigan woman was declared dead, then woke up at her funeral.
Yep.
This was last year.
Everywhere.
Man wakes up dead in morgue.
That's why I tell people all the time, even these people in the medical field, because I got a sister in medicine. I said they give up too easily on people, calling them dead after 5 minutes. No, honey, you need to keep trying. You need to keep trying. I mean, there should be a higher time frame than 5 minutes, and then you calling somebody dead just because their heart stopped. You could have possibly saved that person, and this is why you have cases of people coming back later. They call it Lazarus syndrome, I think.
Shocking. Man wakes from dead and screaming in morgue during blood drain. Oh. So they was about to
exsanguinate him. I'll be like, reverse. Be in the middle of pulling the blood, I'll be reverse.
He regained consciousness and started screaming inside the morgue when staff sliced his arm open.
Did they save him?
They saved him.
Thank God.
Yeah, they saved him, but he regained consciousness when he sliced his arm open.
The pain probably brought him back. if the paddles don't work, if they don't, you go back down. It would be he was just high or drunk.
They said the pain brought him back.
Mm-hmm.
He woke up screaming when they sliced his arm.
Yeah, it cut into them nerves. Ain't no worse pain than nerve pain. That's why I said this ain't no damn time to be getting sick or dying. This stuff is just crazy.
COVID infected woman 76 believed to be dead wakes up. She wakes up before her own cremation.
Well, I'm glad she woke up before they cremated her. Or she wouldn't have woke up at all.
She wouldn't even have no eyes open.
I'm glad somebody was paying attention before they rolled her in that oven. Okay.
A 76-year-old Indian woman who believed to be dead after testing positive for the coronavirus woke up moments before her own cremation in Baramidi, a city in the state of, I don't even know how to pronounce that. You know how they are when they're over the country. Marisada? Don't give me a line.
It don't matter. Someplace in India is the point.
That's creepy.
Yeah, for the person who woke up. Can you imagine waking up and knowing somebody was about to end you? That ain't nothing but God. I'd be like, look at God.
See, that's what it makes you think. You'd be like, Lord, let me go back down there before they hurt my body now.
I know that's what you'd be like, is this hell? Nope, you're still here. But that makes you wonder how many people did they kill that might have actually still been alive or regained consciousness if they waited.
True.
Just don't know.
That is true. Because like you said, the timing is very short. And like you said, 5 minutes and they call it and
yep.
That's it. But I even feel like that when people are in coma, where they don't give people a chance, to come out of coma.
And the families be fighting for their life support and telling them, no, you're not going to take my son, my daughter, my husband, whoever off. But no, I feel like in this world, the biggest thing is while we talking about, when we was talking about the gun violence and, any violence in general, people think that somehow excuses their bad behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Not. Even, and I've seen this, and especially in a lot of Islamic cultures, the parent will go hug the person who murdered their child. What people fail to realize is they're not doing that for that person. They're doing it because forgiveness heals your heart. You can't bring the child back, and that's a blessing for you from God. They the one got to live with the murder that they committed, but you walking around with that is going to age you, and it's going to take you out of here quicker, and there's nothing you can do to bring them back, and a lot of people accept that. And some of that actually changes. It gives people a warmer heart that was so cold that they would have murdered again. Because you let some of these people out of jail after 20 years and be right back in there again for going and killing somebody else. Because they don't feel like...
I've seen that.
And I'm not saying that everybody's going to make that choice. Because I don't know if I would make that choice if somebody killed one of my children. It would really depend on the person and the circumstance. I think that has a lot to do.
Yeah.
Like two young folks, it's different when you're looking at... Because those are all our babies. We always look at the one that came out of us as the most important. No, your baby ain't no more important than mine. Nobody else's. Those are our Black babies. And when one of them kills another one, instead of looking at them like you a low-down scoundrel, yes, what they did was low down. But what was going on up here is the problem. This flesh didn't do that. This man told them to go do that. And if we don't change that, fussing about it ain't going to change nothing. That could have been your child that grew up and went out there and murdered somebody. Would you want the whole world to hate them forever and you trying to convert them? That was wrong, baby. You got to be better. But we don't do that. We hypocritical. And again, I say, I can speak on this because I'm a parent too. If somebody shot my children, would I be angry? Of course. But sooner or later, anger has to give way to, there's a problem in this society that our children are growing up behaving this way. Take some responsibility and make a change. And that is what I respect. Because if I want God to forgive me, I got to forgive people. No matter what it is. He didn't say one person's sin was greater than another one. That's like the drunk person sitting over there talking about, well, I don't smoke cigarettes. You sinning and killing your lungs. And then you sitting over there drinking your alcohol and killing your liver.
I've seen that. And people really do that.
That's my point.
People really do that. They'll be like, oh, well, you smoking cigarettes and it's bad for you. But yeah, you're over there drinking liquor, destroying your liver. Like, both are bad for you.
That's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, you all headed towards the grave. You don't want nobody sending your child there or you there no quicker than you got to get there, but you all headed towards the grave. And in about 100 years, all of you going to be gone, and it's going to be a whole nother crop of people here because you don't know how to stay around here. And when somebody try to tell you how to stay around here, half of them don't want to hear it. They're going to do what they're going to do. They're going to smoke their lungs up. They're going to do whatever they're going to do to their liver. They're going to eat food that they know leads to the grave quicker. And that's just the way society has reared us to be. We are a proud, arrogant bunch of people on this planet right now. And the generation coming in behind us kind of needs some of that gumption, because if they don't fight against the powers that be, ain't nothing going to change. So they need some arrogance. They need some pride. But there needs to be a temperament there that tells our children that there is a stopping point to even your anger. Don't go pick up a weapon.
I'm even, and you know what's crazy? And I was actually speaking to my mom yesterday. It was a really deep conversation that and it's not often me and my mom have deep conversations. And I told her, I was like, for my kids, I was like, and even in circumstances of me building generational wealth, I was like, I'm still worried about my own kids. I said, because with the cost of inflation and pricing and everything else, I said, we are adults now and we barely are surviving. How's it going to be when they become adults? Because I was like, at this point, you're talking rent is just, some places rent is $1,400 for a studio.
Yep.
I said, and some of these jobs are not paying enough to where, you work 2-3 jobs and it's still not enough. You go to school and it's still not enough. And I was like, unless you're a doctor, a lawyer, whatever the case may be,
that's why so many
then you're cool.
And they're living off buses. They're living off tiny homes. They're living out of their cars. And they're like, I'm homeless, but I'm not jobless. Being homeless has a whole different meaning with this generation. It don't mean you kill yourself and you don't have no money. It means you choosing a different lifestyle until you have enough saved to afford that lifestyle that you want. But the thing is, in cars, and this is a health concern, you sleep in a car in an upright position for long enough, you'll give yourself arthritis because you cannot compress. It's compressment. Was it compartment? Is it compartment syndrome? I think
so. Yeah, because I know for a fact when I did it, because like I said, I've been homeless. When I did it, I always would recline my seat to a certain degree, but obviously certain cars only recline so far. And even still, you got if you're sleeping on the driver's side, you got the pedals and all that stuff in the way. If you're sleeping on the passenger side, you pretty much got open space. However, you're in that one single position
But even if
all night, and it hurts.
back of cars before, I may not have been homeless, but I know what that feels like to be in the back of a car trying to lay down and get comfortable. You got to get you a mattress or something to put back there to make that space livable. You can't just do that. You will hurt yourself and not realize you're doing it. And that's what people miss. But again, a lot of the young folks are getting buses. They're getting old buses, broke down buses, and they taking their little money from their job and they building that into something. And I'm committing that. I would encourage my children to do something like that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're not rich, then do what you got to make sure that you're not poor either.
I've seen that, and I remember working at Tire Kingdom, and it was like my second week there. Guy pulls up and it's like this little mini school bus. Now from the outside it's blue, it's different, mini school bus, and he was like, "Hey, I need air in my tires." So, okay, fine. But I noticed how he had curtains up, and I said, "Let me ask you something." I said, "Is this a mobile home?" And he was like, "Yeah." He was like, "You want to take a look inside?" Mia, I'm telling you, when he opened that door to that bus,
Gorgeous, wasn't it?
It was gorgeous as hell in there, and I was like, this is like, you did this?" He said, "Yeah, I did this." He said, "Because the cost of living is so much." He was like, "The top of the bus has solar panels." He said, "I got the tanks and everything for the water, shower." He said, "Hot water heater, all that stuff."
Got that man's number and said, "I may need to call you later if I ever decide to go that route." People like that, I'd be like, "Can I get your information?" Because
Like when he did that, and I mean, I'm talking granite countertops and everything in the kitchen, and it's pretty in there, and I'm just like, it's a but from the outside, it looks like a regular old bus,
and that's
but the inside,
somebody will try to steal it because that's your home. You can't leave that nowhere for somebody to take. You know, I bet he got an alarm system or something in there. He got to have something, because if you don't, you got
yeah.
an alarm system. Somebody try to steal that, just like with your car. You know, you don't want your whole home took, because they ain't bringing it back.
I just thought it was amazing. Like you said, so for these people, they get out there, they take their money, and they build these buses instead of buying a trailer or or saying anything. They just turn around, buy a beat up old school bus. They fix the motor, and then they renovate the whole inside. And I've even thought about doing it, because I was like, you know how much money I could be saving in a year
Yep.
just
And
off the bus.
I was gonna say, because the beautiful part is, I don't care how expensive the motor is, and if it ever dies on you, you still got your solar panels, you still got everything right there. Even if it die on you, even if you got to replace the motor, and the motor costs you $3,000 or $4,000, a house gonna cost you 30 or 40,000 minimum. So they still got plenty of money to spend on dropping a brand new engine in, if that's what they got to do.
And staying in the hotel for a couple of days.
It's still cheaper than buying a house. You know.
And it's crazy, because one of he was a previous guest, the Wave guy. He's actually in the process of buying his house, and it's like I think he said his house is like $250,000. I'm like, dude, what's your mortgage? And he was like, it's gonna be about 1,600, something like that. And I'm like, 1,600?
I don't myself spending that kind of money on a house unless I got the money outright, or at least a good portion of it, because I'm well off enough. There ain't no way I'm about to do some stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, everybody's different. Everybody's situation is different. So I'm not downing them, but you need to think real hard as Black people. Can I afford this for the next 30 to 35 years?
Yeah.
Because
I think that's why I'm not in a rush to go get a house myself. And, I know, and I know, like, financially I can afford the mortgage, but it's just one of them things. It's like, I'd rather buy the house outright. It's already bad enough that I'm paying for, I own a car, and I own it, and it's in the shop, but then I got to pay for monthly for this other car that I got that.
Buyer, you can haggle more. Even if it's $250,000, you might tell them, "Look, I got $200,000 in cash to offer you right now. Say yes," and they'll say yes.
Mm-hmm.
They want that money. You're a cash buyer. Also, that money that you're spending on that mortgage over 16 years, you could have been putting into your business to grow into something that you could have purchased the house outright for. But you're taking a whole $1,600 a month, and that's out your income now to cover. That's just the house bill. We're not even talking about electric bill, gas, water, plumbing if something goes wrong. If the electricity goes out, anything that goes wrong in that home, you just made yourself possibly twice the bills, especially if you buy a home, and this happens to a lot of people, and you don't realize that there's something wrong in there that wasn't listed in the paperwork, and you're stuck with that house now because you can't resell it because you didn't already sign the papers for it. People do that all the time and feel like they got gypped. There's nothing they can do unless they want to go to court and pay for court fees and spend a whole lot more money. So
Scarface said it's easier to have a mortgage than rent a house. Better to have an apartment if you're not ready. That is true. Now, and I've noticed this with a lot of homes where even a friend of mine, she was renting a home, and the owner sold it right from underneath her, and she had to find some place to. I feel like in that case, I would never rent a home because the owner can sell it at any given time. At least if you know if an apartment is being sold, they can't kick the tenants out because it's an apartment. It's meant for rent. And I've seen where people will actually transition and new owners take over an apartment complex. But I've also seen it where, and I've thought about it, I was like, man, I should rent a house. But then every time I think about that, it's always somebody calling me, hey, man, I got to find somebody to move. Can you help me to move? Because the owner that sold the house. And I'm just like, what you mean the owner sold the house?
You have to let them know in the contract that, hey, you have to at least give me a 30-day advance notice if you sell it so that I have time to find another place. Whatever if you don't say, it's like getting into a relationship. Anytime you sign anything contractual is a type of relationship. You have to state upfront what you can and cannot tolerate. And if you're not doing that and you just jumping on the first thing smoking, you're making bad business decisions already, first of all. You don't know what you're doing. People don't like to hear that. But if you are not actually reading those contracts that are going to lock you into something for more than, I would say more than a couple of years, like a car note, 6 years is a good bit of time for you to be paying on something and not know exactly what your percentage of interest is, how much it's going to come out to. They telling you it's $19,000, but you actually going to be paying closer to $25,000 to $27,000, and you ain't looking at none of this. You need to know this. Don't just say, oh, I can afford $600 a month. What if down the line that $600 a month could have been knocked down to more like $400 a month? Even refinancing, people don't think to do that. You got $5,000, $6,000 left to pay on your car, and you're still paying $600 a month, and you struggling. Get good credit and refi it with the bank, and you could be paying $100 to $200 a month.
I literally was just talking about that with my car. I was like, I don't want another, I don't want to let the car go, but I was like, this amount that I'm paying a month is out of pocket. I was like, this is ridiculous. And I was like, I need to refinance this car, because I was like, if I don't refinance this car, I'm going to turn around and take the money that I will pay towards the car and go buy another car and tell them come get this car.
Yep.
And I was like, it's too much.
And then you're going to
too much.
Have a repo or a foreclosure or whatever they call it on your record, and you don't want that because that's going to jack your credit for a little while.
Yeah.
So no, you don't want to have to do that. And I've purchased 2 vehicles, and both of them was done over a 6-year time frame, and I said I'm not doing that again unless it's a Tesla or something that I just really want. But by the time I buy one of those, the vehicles that I have will have broken down, and I'll probably have money to get whatever I want. That is the goal. Again, purchasing with cash. If you could save for 6 years and pay $25,000, you could save for about 4 years and just start putting that money aside yourself right now, if that's what you're gonna do anyway, and have the money to go purchase something in cash. But we have no gumption to do that. We have no willpower to set money aside. That's why people use the envelope method. A lot of people don't like that, but I do like the envelope method for a lot of reasons, because it's a windfall. You in that bank account, even when you got multiple bank accounts, the government can seize that. Anything can happen to that. That windfall of cash you got in that safe, can't nobody touch that but you unless somebody robbed you. So if you got a good enough plan and a good enough place to keep it, it's good to save a few thousand and just put it in a safe somewhere, because if something
and that's definitely something I wish I would have took advantage of, because like I said, my other truck that I own, that's in the shop, and I've had that truck since 2017, and I bought it straight cash outright. And the beauty about that is I knew that I owned it, and I only just had to pay the car insurance on it. But like you said, nobody taught me about money. I'm just now learning about money.
Yep.
I didn't have nobody sit down and be like, yo, since you own your car, you need to be putting money away for if something happens to this car, you can buy another car outright. I didn't do that, which forced me into financing a car that I really didn't want to finance. Like, I picked the car, I shot for the car, I made sure, I was like, okay, this is what I feel comfortable paying. But it's still that I got to pay this monthly thing every month, in which I didn't want that, but I was forced into it because I didn't take advantage of basically putting money away when I had a car already owned.
That's what I was saying about that house note from what you call the Wave God. You got the house note, you got the electric bill, you got the water bill, you got the gas bill, you got the light bill. If you're paying on a car note, that's another bill right there. On top of that, you got to pay for insurance if you don't want to get pulled over and wind up getting in trouble for that. And on top of that, you got a car tag to pay for every year. And even though it's depreciating, if you get in a nice new vehicle, you're going to be paying probably close to, I know my sister's Tesla, the tag for that costs $1,500, give or take.
What?
Yes. It's an expensive ass tag. Now it's going to depreciate yearly.
Wait.
For a damn.
Wait. And I like Tesla. Hold up. I even got Tesla stock. Hold up. $1,500 for the tag?
Now you understand why they stock rise. Them bookers charge you for everything.
Bruh. Shit. And I'm over here complaining about $200 for a tag.
You're a cheapskate.
You should see me when I'm in the DMV and they be like, yeah, it's about $200-$300 for this tag. And I'm like, dang, like seriously, it's expensive.
Don't go buy a Tesla. And that's my point. People tell you about the car note, but nobody tells you about the tag and all of that kind of thing. You learn that stuff as you go along. And I just don't understand why business is not taught to our children in school. When they purchase something, what goes along with basic amenities that most people are going to have or want or need. A car, a home, even an apartment, how leases work, how rent to own works. All of that needs to be taught in our school systems. And it's not. None of that is unless you go to business school. But then they're going to charge you.
Is that even taught in business school?
They're going to charge you for that in college. Hey.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey.
Hey, sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
Hey,
No, you're good.
Hey, you guys are spot on because, I mean, that's very, very, very true, you know, what you all are talking about. The fact of the matter that my wife and I, whenever we bought this house here, that when it comes to rent, mortgage, kind of like what I was putting in the message board and stuff like that. Sorry to interrupt as well.
No, you're good.
That so it's like, why rent a house for $1,500? Let's say a 2,000 square foot house for $1,500 when we could buy a house that's nearly 4,000 square feet for an $1,800 mortgage. You know what I'm saying? So
you got a point.
But kind of like what I put in the message too, that is like the fact of the matter is like if you're renting, somebody else is held responsible for anything that happens to the house. So if the water heater or whatever goes out, it's like, hey, this is what's going on. Now, will they take care of it? It's kind of it's iffy. It's iffy. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like an 80-20 shot. Yeah, they will. Maybe they won't. You know, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, though, when you own a house, you own a house. So you have to own up everything.
But you know what?
So we
insurance, and then there's homeowner's insurance. And I know there's a price difference, but both of them I feel like are good to have, even if you're renting, because, again, like you said, it's iffy if they're going to fix something. If the place burns to the ground, they're not necessarily going to have another place for you. So insurance, I think, is super important. And then, like you said, with the homeowner's option, nobody's going to be there to cover you if something burns up or if something breaks down. So insurance, I think everybody needs to consider getting insurance on their property.
Well, definitely insurance. Even if you are renting, you know what I'm saying, renting from an apartment, renting from a rent house or whatever, get renter's insurance. You know what I'm saying? So that way you are covered because you're covered so much on the renter's insurance. Now, when it comes to our mortgage and our insurance and stuff like that, the thing is that that's where you set your boundaries. You know what I'm saying? You talk to the mortgage people, you know what I'm saying, or your insurance company, like, hey, this out, you know, because now if somebody gets hurt in your yard, you have to pay that. That's something that you have to discuss with your insurance company. You know,
wait. So if somebody falls and hurts themselves in your property, in your yard, it's your responsibility.
Amazon person comes and delivers something and trips because I have too much Halloween displays or whatever, I'm held liable. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
but invite them in
because it's my property. You know, if somebody comes by, Jehovah's Witness comes by knocking on my door, and I don't want to answer, but they just so happen to miss a step, I'm held. I could be possibly held liable. You know,
I'm inviting him in with some eggnog and some Christmas cookies off the back.
It's like, yeah, please tell me more about Jehovah and when is he coming back? You know, please tell me more. You know, I answer at every door. You know, put that no soliciting sign in the front of your yard. That's why some people have that. Seriously though. I believe that's why some people have that, that no soliciting, no trespassers, like not necessarily in front of their door, but like in front of the yard. You know, you feel like, they're secluding themselves from society. No, it's just the fact that they're worried about lawsuits. That could be possible.
I never knew that because I always looked at it as basically when you see the soliciting signs or the no trespassing signs that basically they didn't just want, you know, random people just lurking around the yard. I didn't think nothing of like, people who's trying to sell something, or I never thought about that. So that now makes sense because I see a lot of that, but I'm like, why do you have a no trespassing sign here? Or why do you have a no soliciting sign here? And I even seen it on certain like even people put it on their apartment doors. I'm just like, for what?
It's less of an easy target because some people live to file lawsuits.
Right.
That like the dude that tried to claim that the guy on the Tesla hit him so he could have a windfall. He didn't know the Tesla had back cameras. And that's how he wound up in jail. Yeah, there was a whole news story on it. You saw that?
Oh, yeah. I saw that.
Wait, what?
That was crazy.
Hold up.
That was crazy.
Happened?
Because it was at the intersection and stuff like that, right? Where they're like, oh, no, you backed, or it was something like, you stopped too soon or something. But
yes, I saw that one too, where the girl went to the guy's car and she was like, no, you hit me. And he tried to show
you hit me, yeah.
And she had smacked into him, but not first. He started it when he sideswiped her and almost hit a pedestrian on a bike or whatever you call them. I don't know what to call a pedestrian.
I've seen that.
What do you
I see.
But no, this is another one where this guy laid down behind a Tesla and acted like the Tesla had rolled over and hit him. And he didn't know the Tesla had cameras that proved that this man did not. He wound up. He got it.
I gotta see this. Hold up. This is on Google.
I saw it on I think like AOL News because I have like a news feed or news break. Of course, I might have seen it on.
So the guy laid down behind the Tesla.
Yeah, he tried to act like.
Wait a minute. I gotta see.
People target.
No.
Drive a rich person car. Don't come to a poor neighborhood in a rich person car. You're gonna become an immediate target because that's just how people's mind function. I told you, concrete jungle. People just
concrete jungle. I remember that.
That's why I said my sister has a Tesla. She didn't get it. That's why I was telling Jay she's not paying the note on it. My dad is, but he got her one because it made more sense to spend $1,500
for $1,500.
Yeah, it made more sense to spend that than to keep paying for gas money for her to drive an hour and a half to school every other day.
But something I'm talking about saving money though that official Jay Simmons was talking about. It's like, if you pay something off, and that's very true. It's very true because I did a stupid move back in, how many years ago? I guess 10, I don't know. It's probably like less than 10 years ago where, so I had this vehicle and the AC quit working. So yeah, I could probably spend like $1,200 to get the AC working again, but instead I got a new vehicle. Now I have a whole new car note. I'm spending X amount of thousands of dollars extra. Yes, newer, but the fact of the matter is that the other vehicle is still in a great working condition, but I could spend that $1,200. You know what I'm saying? But what I did end up doing was financing. That other vehicle was already paid off. I ended up financing that newer vehicle so that way I can have all the and amenities and everything else with it. But it's like, hindsight, now we have this extra vehicle that's not necessarily sitting in the yard. We use it every once in a while because it's in the way. Like, all right, if it's parked in front of the other vehicle, we just jump in it. But it's like really cost saving when it comes to cost savings. Just get that, whatever needs to get fixed, you know what I'm saying, or sell it or get whatever needs to get fixed and just keep using it until it runs down to the last leg. Yeah. So then you could create another bill.
Exactly.
For unnecessary reason. Not only did you create another bill, but now you have a nuisance of having extra vehicles on your property. Yeah. Because we really didn't need vehicles.
I just out anyway, so you got to keep rotating out. You can't drive but one vehicle at a time.
And I wish, that's what I'm saying. I wish it was like money was like sat down and explained to me. That stuff wasn't explained to me. So now it's like, the only, like I said, I was forced into buying another car or whatever because the motor went on the other one. So I said, all right, fine.
You believed. Yeah, you believe that you had to. I don't think you were forced to, but I think you were believed to buy another car. You know what I'm saying? Because it was ultimately your decision, but you felt like that was the right decision. You know what I'm saying? I really don't think you were forced.
And it's like one of them things. It's like, don't get me wrong. I like the car. It's great on gas. It's, but it's like you said, it's that consistent nuisance of that bill coming every month and making sure that, okay, did I pay it this month? And I sat down and I literally thought about it. And even with my, and a lot of people fail to realize like they forget on the car insurance too, is that when they do stuff in the past and they feel like it don't come back and bite them. And now I have to reapply for a new premium and stuff like that because time in past is over, the 5-year mark that they give you. And I sat down and I was like, yo, I'm kicking them out about $800 alone just for the car, just for the one car. Just that's the car note and the insurance combined. I'm like, that's about $800. That's not including the rent or none of that stuff. And I'm just like,
That's exactly
this car is killing me.
You cannot go into business and make a bunch of extra debt. Your business will not go nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you have a business, though, you got to remember, especially when it comes to a startup business, you're always going to go, you're going to tank first until you actually create a profit. You know what I'm saying? Before you come to borderline. But as individuals, as growing up and as learning the process, that's something they should teach at school. One thing I remember, and I can't remember if I learned this in school, if I learned this in the military back in the day when I first got in the military before I retired out, that they taught me how to balance a checkbook, how to, you know.
I never was taught that.
Well, yeah, see, that's the thing. That's something that I believe should be taught because it's not learned. You know what I'm saying? You probably won't learn it, but now, do I balance a checkbook nowadays? No, but am I mindful of my spending, expenditures, and everything, and my income and outcomes or whatever? Yes, I am now. But back in the day, you know, balancing checkbook was very mindful, and it taught me how to save, how to not necessarily penny pinch, but it taught me how to save. Now, did I, you know, end up getting credit cards or whatever when credit cards was introduced to me because I want to, you know, up my credit score? Yeah, I did. And I messed up. But the thing is, it's a learning process. But that should be taught versus people going out there saying, hey, get your credit card, go do this, go do that. You know, money, bling, bling, bling.
They don't teach it because they expect that to be part of the currency and economy and system that's already in place to keep paying them, because everything is about the bottom line here. They know you're going to come out and screw up because that's going to help keep the economy flowing in their direction. And the next generation is going to do the same thing over and over again. And then you're going to come out. So
for the money to keep coming in.
So they don't want that money to stop flowing in their direction, and that's why they don't teach you at a young age. But you got a new generation again coming in behind us that's saying we are going to teach these kids a better way. Start businesses in your
we
have
to teach. Yeah.
And it's really like that now, because it's like I said, I was never taught that. So now it's to the point where, you know, I'm teaching my kids that, because it's like, yo, you're not about to make the mistakes. Like, I got credit, and when I first got established credit, and I first found out my credit score was excellent credit. Man, I wasn't taught about credit cards, so I went and got credit card after credit card after credit card and maxed them all out, got what I want. I ain't got nothing to show for them now to this day. And I'm still, you know, knocking off these debts and stuff that I owe, because it's like, man, I wish somebody would have told me about that, because it wasn't like I was getting like $300 limits, $400, because of the type of credit that I had, and I was working construction. They based it off of that. They was like, oh, well, you got good income and you got good credit, so here, we're going to give you a high limit. Like, I remember K Jewelers gave me a $1,700 credit limit with them at just K Jewelers. And it took me years to pay that thing off. And it was like, and I was like, I bought about $1,700 in jewelry, and I don't have none of that to this day.
Yep,
I ain't gonna lie, I had a bigger man.
I don't have none of it.
I had some frivolously spending in my heyday, and I'm still paying off. And my credit cards, I have one credit card that was like, you can probably buy a house with it. I'm still paying off of it, you know, for stupid frivolous spending. You know what I'm saying? Now, is my credit score bad? No. But it's just that one credit card is really haunting me, you know, because I was really good with my money, but there was a time in my life, you know, when I was in between marriages and everything else, you know, where it's just, you know, flaunting, you know what I'm saying? And, yeah, it's still haunting, but I'm knocking it down, but my credit score is really good now.
This for a reason, and it only stays on there for 7 years. But the longer you go without filing bankruptcy, the more determined you are to pay it off. Just go on and pay it off.
Exactly. Because I've had family members that, you know, they're like, oh, I just filed bankruptcy. I was like, no. I said, the thing is, I'm constantly making payments. Yeah, my credit card payment might be, you know, like $700 a month, but, you know, but it's just a matter that I'm still paying it off, you know, and my credit score is still really good, you know. And I've had, like I mentioned, my family members filed bankruptcy on a lot less, and they're just like, oh, just do that. It's like, man, I can't, because I'm I literally make too much money. You know what I'm saying?
Would it be
Make too much
considered
money.
like in the sense of like, okay, bankruptcy is what, like an easy way out, pretty much?
Yep, everything gets forgiven, but your credit score down, 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 down.
No, they don't forgive it for a long time.
Oh, so your
Money.
score does drop, because I heard that if you was to file for bankruptcy, and this is what I heard, that basically everything is kind of like a reset button. So you're
Take out
Yeah, kind of. You know what I'm saying? Basically.
and then file bankruptcy, because then they don't have to pay that money back. If they ain't got to sit up in the bank somewhere, it can just if you can't prove that somebody has the money, that's how they get away. People will literally.
Now, have y'all known people that had bankruptcy parties? So it's like, you know what? I'm about to file bankruptcy, and they have all these credit cards, and they're like, whatever you want. Or, hey, I'm about to, throw a kick-ass party. I've known people that used to do that. Like, you know what? My credit limit is way too up. I'm filing bankrupt. I got to max these credit cards out.
Yeah,
Have y'all known people that did that?
They already know that once they file bankruptcy, it's over with for a little while. They're not gonna have nobody's gonna trust them. So they use it all up first and get everything that they want.
Yep.
And share like they Robin Hood the moment.
And they had those bankruptcy parties, man. Those are good guys parties. They ain't allowed, man. You know what I'm saying?
After they
I ain't never heard of that.
but they helped, got their back later. They need something because they was all in on it.
Everybody's like, yeah.
I never heard of a bankruptcy party.
But
I've heard of divorce party.
That though, because
But a bankruptcy party?
that these credit card
Oh yeah, it's like I'm about to go bankrupt, y'all. I got to max these cards out.
That's my
I have
point.
to whatever day,
Slow down.
and they have parties or whatever, or they'll buy something to sell it to you for a certain price and stuff like that. Kind of like how they used to do food stamps back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the government knows credit card companies are low down. That's why they're trying to change the business plan away. That's why bankruptcy is an option. And nobody gets looked at negatively for it. Yeah, sure, it tanks your score for quite a few years. But nobody gets in trouble for filing bankruptcy because that's what it's there for. When you get in over your head, they recognize at the very least that you still have to live and function. And you cannot do that when you're paying more off credit card debt and all them debts that you've made than you are to take care of a family or to take care of your home and that kind of thing. So ain't nobody mad at it.
They did change the laws for a little bit, but I don't know how much they changed it for, especially when it comes to the different chapters of bankruptcy. Because I never done it, but I know that people that told me about it is like, oh yeah, there's different, I don't know, chapter whatever for bankruptcy. But they mentioned that it has changed within the last like 5 to 10 years. But I don't know, because I've looked into it because people were like, oh yeah, you should do it. But every time I look into it, I was like, man, I'm paying off my bills. I make too much money. You know what I'm saying? I'm not under. You know what I'm saying? That's
I see what you're talking about. In Louisiana, where the guy staged his own thing with the Tesla.
I don't know why am I commenting. I'm trying to say something. See if that'll help.
Staged his own thing with Tesla.
He finally found staging his own accident with the Tesla, trying to claim the Tesla driver hit him.
Oh, that's recent.
Yeah.
I see what you're talking about. I just see.
No, that's fraud.
That fake fall and everything.
That's different. That's fraud.
Yeah, that's totally different.
Yeah, that's fraud. You know what I'm saying? It's illegal.
Yes. Very
You know what I'm saying?
So.
What we're talking about is like kick-ass block party, pretty much.
I gotta I definitely gotta look into that. I never heard of that. Now that you say that, I gotta actually look into that. The bankruptcy parties. I even heard divorce parties are lit.
Well, yeah. I mean, that you're getting divorced, but the bankruptcy party is like, hey, you have X amount of dollars left before you go bankrupt, because they know they're gonna go quote unquote bankrupt on this date. Let's say October 30th. Well, let's see. So 30th is probably Saturday. So let's say 29th. But you have X amount of $1,000 left because you're already over it, but you have X amount of dollars left on your credit cards anyways. You're like, you know what? I'm going bankrupt anyways. I'm having a party. Or, you know what? I'm buying whatever I have left and I'm selling it so I can have some money in my pocket.
Yep.
That's how they used to do it,
So bankruptcy, they come after basically whatever you own. So if you own like a vehicle and stuff like that, they pretty much confiscate that.
No. Basically, it's like not necessarily. There's different level. I believe there's different level. That's the different chapters of the bankruptcy and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Saying, hey, I can keep my house. I can keep, but I can't refinance. I can't do this. I can't I can't do any more refinancing or finances, whatever, but I need to be relinquished for all mine. I get to keep my car, I get to keep my house. I forget what chapter that is. Keep my car, keep my house,
Oh,
but take all my credit cards. You know what I'm saying? But I can't ask for another credit card for another 5 years. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever it is to be relinquished off it. You get X amount of dollars you have to pay, or you don't have to be. I mean, there's different chapters. It means there's different levels on what happens.
Yeah.
Either you're free from it or you're set a certain amount. So let's say you owe, $70,000 in credit card debt, or even less than that. Let's say 15,000. But you're like, you know what? You come to that agreement. It's like, all right, well, 10,000 is what I agree to pay back, and I promise to pay it back. But now I'm calling bankrupt. So basically, everything I bought with it is forgiven. But I'm gonna give you guys $10,000.
that's
I get to keep my
I never
house.
I never knew that. I never knew it.
The IRS off.
With different levels.
It's basically settling your debt, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, you're basically you're settling your debt. It's just like that, just like as if you committed a crime. It's like, okay, I committed a felony.
Oh,
State says, or even misdemeanor. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing with your credit. It's like, hey, I was bad with my credit. I did a bad job with it. I want to make it better. Relinquish my debt, my stupidity of my debt, but they're going to relinquish it based off of, you're going to pay a lot less than what you had to pay before.
Yep. Again, that's why people take out hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions of dollars in loans sometimes and file bankruptcy because they're going to agree.
And that's why.
And boom.
That's why a lot of these rich people, they do it all the time.
Yep.
50 Cent did that.
It needs good credit when you got cash.
Donald Trump did it
Donald
too.
Trump has filed bankruptcy. You know what I'm saying? How many times these moguls have filed bankruptcy? I mean, like, look at 50 Cent. He filed bankruptcy. You know what I'm saying?
Who needs credit?
He's still successful. He even boasted about it. And nothing happened to him.
People
Now, tax fraud, on the other hand, will get your ass every time.
Don't do that. Pay your taxes.
Pay your taxes. That's how they got the infamous Al Capone. Ever since then, everybody should have learned the lesson.
They were talking about he was untouchable practically.
Yeah, he was practically untouchable. They couldn't get him on anything because he was so smooth with it all.
Man, that is such.
But tax fraud, because you know what? Yeah, you are making all this money, but have you been paying taxes on it?
I'm almost mad at him. Dump like that. When you had it all in the pocket, couldn't nobody touch you if you had just paid your fair portion to the government. Like, to be that smooth with it, you got to be smarter than that. I mean, you're so smart. You know how to say you're so smart, you're stupid. That was extremely smart. But he got greedy is what it sounds like. Because he knew, obviously, taxes have to be paid. So why didn't you just pay them? I look at people like,
well, that's why.
Damn, you got the money.
But you got to remember how long ago that was. That's why a lot of these criminals are smarter now. They own multiple businesses. And the way they launder their money, they launder money within each other business. You can't have just one business. You know what I'm saying? You can't have just one business trying to launder money through it. You have to have multiple businesses. Because you have your expenditures, you have your, not just your expenditures, what do you call it? Your, gosh, dog it, man, what is it called? That you can always sweep under the rug that you don't have to count.
Oh, God.
But it happens all the time.
It's on the tax forms every year. I don't know why I can't.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the name of it, but I know what you're talking about because I've seen it.
I'm tired.
Not,
I know.
Is it a first fund? No, but you know what I'm talking about, where it's like, you know, that happens all the time and everything else, you know, and then you have your ghost employees and all this, that, other that they're paying to. So you have to have multiple businesses. That's what the big companies do. You know, we're not big companies, but, you know, the mobsters or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And that's what they do because they have to show where the money's going.
Yeah.
And they pay taxes into it. So that way the government's not looking into them. That's what, I mean, I'm telling you, it takes.
Shell corporations still have to have taxes paid on them for what you claim you make it. And that keeps the government off of them. So every year when they file them taxes and they pay the government's happy, so ain't nobody else paying them no taxes.
Exactly, because you definitely don't want the government to look into you. You can have the local police look into you or whatever because it looks like some frivolous activities going over there, but no, you don't want the tax people looking into you.
They go much deeper.
You don't want the government.
They're gonna munch.
Huh?
I see. Yeah, the
Because they're gonna munch you up. You know what I'm saying? You're just like a little paper in a paper shredder, and it's like local government just like, okay, yeah, they look like a legit business. The government looks at you and like, oh, it's a legit business on compared to what we have listed on our paperwork. Why are you bothering these guys?
Yep.
It's funny because I think when I went through the state with mine, they didn't even take long. They sent me all these forms, like tax forms and stuff. Like it was like, because I set it up where I pay my taxes quarterly, and they sent that form immediately. I did not play with that. I wouldn't hire an accountant because I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And all I know is that they sent this form, don't know what the form is. I didn't, and even my accountant told me, he was like, you didn't even, he told me that I didn't even fill it out right. I guess what my business is, because you have corporation, you have sole proprietor.
Yeah. Or LLC.
Yeah, I think I had to switch mine because I had sole proprietor instead of, and then I switched it to an S corporation. But I didn't know the difference of that because I'm reading this IRS stuff and I'm like, I mean, I ain't gonna lie. If you never really looked at the IRS, it just looks like some Chinese stuff that's thrown at you, like, and you're looking at it,
hieroglyphics. Yeah, it's like hieroglyphics. You're like, I see a sun, a moon. It's like, let me just sign. It's too much.
Yeah, and that's how I was like, I'm reading it because I'm like, okay, I want to make sure I'm filling out the right thing, and I still filled it out wrong, and I'm just like,
yeah,
this ain't for me.
Like that's why you have to take a tax course, or you have an actual prepare for you.
I'm gonna be late for my job, and my son's not well tonight, so I gotta go check on him. I'll see you guys on Sunday. I usually can stay for an extra half an hour, but I have got to go. Guys, later.
Have a good night, Mia.
Thanks.
See y'all later.
Yeah, that's something I gotta look into.